Ladies and gentlemen, what is good, what is good, what is good? Doc back again, once again. Let's lock in. Recently, there was a study or a survey that was taken in the Philippines that basically focused on the idea of people's responses based on, do you believe that you should be married before you get or start living together, I should say. Now, the focus was specifically on Filipino Catholics, right? Based on religious beliefs about the idea of living together before marriage, if it's a good idea or it's a bad idea. Do you see something wrong with it? Do you see nothing wrong with it? Now, I'm going to list the link in the description there below so that you guys can literally break down the data, but the general consensus is a lot more Filipino Catholics, more specifically, are not seeing an issue with cohabitating before marriage, aka living together before marriage. Now, if you go through the article, it looks as though the age ranges from as low as 13 years of age, right? And as high as to about 60 plus. Of course, you're 60 and above, that older group, the majority of them said, yes, you should be married before you cohabitate, right? You should be married before you start living together. But as you get towards the 20s, and between 13 and about 39-ish, the younger crowd, young adults in the, whatever that crowd is down there, I don't know what they call them, they were more or less higher percentages that said they saw nothing wrong with the idea of living together. Now, I do believe that this says a lot to us as foreigners. It could say a lot about how Western influence has somewhat affected the Philippines, guys. It could say a lot about that. Cohabitation in the United States or in other Western countries, a lot of people don't really think you have to be married in order to live together. I mean, the signs of the times, gentlemen, maybe you're a roommate, or maybe you're just living with your partner because you guys thought it would be better to live in one place as opposed to having two different rents and stuff like that. So you use it as a way of saving money. This is more so from the Western perspective, but in the Philippines, it's more or less like, yo, I have a girlfriend, I like her, I think that we should at least see how this works out. So I don't mind us moving in together. And I have to say that's more or less a young individual's mindset. I do believe that as time goes on, there will probably be less pressure on the younger groups or the younger ladies in the Philippines to get married early, to have kids early, and to cohabitate or create relationships and marriages at such a young age. I really do see that being the trend in the years to come. I would say that more or less as the generation now becomes the older generation. That's why I see that being a thing of the future. Why do I say that? Because a lot of us younger folk don't see no problem living together, right? And, if you're more or less a person that's focused on career and trying to, create opportunities for yourself and things like that, even from the female perspective, this could be accurate as well. But you may have your titas and your tias and your lolas and your lolos and all of those people telling you, yo, you need to graduate from college, get married, have kids, your biological clock is ticking and stuff like that. Maybe, just maybe, when this generation gets older, that's not gonna be a pressing concern anymore. I hate to say this because Doc is not really big on speaking about religion. I leave religion and politics out of a lot of my content, but I do believe that the Filipino Catholic Church, to an extent, is losing its stronghold on its once cultural, biblical stronghold that it had over the country in the past, as in people lived and died by the words of the Bible, right? I do believe that as times change and as time goes on and people start thinking for themselves and stop worrying so much about how it's going to be viewed if I live with my partner forever, or we decide to move in together, and stop worrying so much about that, it could very well lead to the church losing its grasp, especially amongst the younger generation. Now, just because that particular thing may not affect how people believe that they should act and maneuver, or they're not necessarily utilizing the Bible to dictate every move that they make, I kind of feel like the older generation did do that. And I see that a lot in my young lady's mom and a couple of other older senior members of families of friends that I've seen before. You start to hear that intellect and that mindset and how they think about it. But as you start to get younger, you start to see that mindset completely change, right? It's not so much live and die by the words of the Bible as it once was, right? So it's not as if that they've lost faith, or it's not as if that they have turned their back on the Bible or anything like that, or turned their back on their faith or their religion. It's more or less that they are in a position to where they're able to think on their own. They're in a position to where they're like, it can't be that I'm gonna go straight to hell for living or cohabitating with my partner. You know, I think that's where the country is navigating and maneuvering towards a trend towards the, the future. I think that in the years to come, it's going to be less pressure, like I said, for young ladies to get married and have kids and do all of this shit and have families. Now, culturally speaking, it doesn't mean that they're not going to want that, right? It doesn't mean that they're not going to want to be wives or to be, have kids and stuff like that. Speaking more so from my Filipinos perspective, I don't believe that they're going to completely disregard that, because I do believe that for the most part people want that. But they're also not going to be afraid to take advantages of opportunity, see what it's like for them to be able to go abroad. Maybe not necessarily think about it from the journey or the perspective of, oh, if I'm going to get to the United States, I need to marry me a foreigner. I need to have a baby with the foreigner so that I can solidify my residency in the United States or in any foreign country, right? It's probably going to be like, okay, I graduate, get this good degree, right? Then I try to find a way to be an OFW because I know that these degrees are in high demand in other countries. And I'm going to try to get out of the country, out of the Philippines, that particular way. All right? Like I said, the mindset of Filipinos are changing. It's not so much reliant on a foreigner to get them out of the country as opposed to it being, let my job and my opportunities get me out of the country. Is that truly where it's going? I believe so, but a lot of you guys may believe different. That's what the comment section below is for. Okay? But I would love to hear what you guys got to say about this particular topic of conversation. Doc just wanting to politic with y'all. The description area below will have this article listed there for you guys to be able to dissect it and to really analyze the data that was gathered from this particular survey. Get some differing points of view, how they view what's going on, and, figure out what it is for you and what it means for you. But I do believe that as time goes on, maybe the general central focus of most people will be, let's see how we are together before we commit to each other for an eternity or, for the long term. And not to mention, being able to cohabitate, live together, and, share expenses if that's what you want to, without the title of being married. That's one thing that I forgot to mention that I want to lock into before we actually finish. But, just disregarding the fact of being married, right? Not having to worry about divorce or annulments and the amount of money that would be spent on that. Baby girl, do you like me? Yes, I like you too. You want to live together? Sure. We can share this shit, man. If we have a little baby and everything, we make it happen. But if it doesn't work out, it's not as if we have to go through the mundane task and the daunting task and the very expensive task of annulling ourselves from one another, right? Being separated from my husband or wife or ever, but never being divorced or being detached from this person. I'm still attached to this person for life. Regardless, I can't move on. I can't live my life. I do not believe that that is flattering and or appealing to any man and or Filipino, right? So, something to think about, something to marinate on. If you guys enjoyed the video, you already know what to do, man. Please feel free to share, like, comment, and subscribe. Doc would highly appreciate that. All of my good stuff listed in the link in the description there below. Lock into the Patreon, guys. We got some very, very, very interesting things popping off over there on the Patreon. All of my good shit. Description there below. Ebooks, you know it. All right? Doc's going to go ahead and let you guys rock out. Appreciate you locking in. Take care. God bless. Doc is out. Peace.